There is panic in the streets of all the world's major cities. A pale humanoid monster has gone on an unstoppable rampage, destroying lives with unmeasured speed and brutality. The fleeing people know they cannot fight and that even the military has failed to stop this thing. The only thought that rings in their heads is whether or not they will be next. The Foundation, however, comes to have a different perspective, one that a certain Dr. Dan has had for years. It is time to get rid of SCP-096 once and for all. In the depths of space, no one can see your face. Well, that's not exactly how the saying goes, but it was certainly the hope of one intrepid spacefaring mobile task force that was assigned with the Herculean task of neutralizing SCP-096, aka the Shy Guy, for good. After the tragic leak of video from inside Site-19, which depicted the Shy Guy inside of its containment unit, a viral sensation caused SCP-096's face to be seen by over 2 million internet users across the globe. The video was taken down by the Foundation, but not before 096 broke containment and claimed the lives of all of the many witnesses. This gruesome worldwide massacre required an exorbitant expenditure of high-quality amnestics and left the Foundation with a sobering reminder that some anomalies are simply too dangerous to be kept alive. Dr. Dan was right all along, even if his methods of proving it all those years ago had been utterly monstrous. Once the leakers were found within the Foundation, they were escorted on the same shuttle that would be transporting SCP-096 into deep space, where both the unfortunate leakers and the Shy Guy were about to be thrown into a black hole. The primary video leaker, a newbie researcher by the name of Dr. Arnold, was sweating in his lab coat as the shuttle drifted through the stars towards the location. Surrounded by mobile task force agents, he knew that attempting to fight for his escape would be completely fruitless, especially when the Foundation ship he and his fellow leakers were on was so far out in space. They're all really serious about this, he thought. In the brief time that Dr. Arnold had been employed at the Foundation, he could have sworn that he heard one mantra repeated to him at least a few dozen times. Secure, contain, protect. We do not destroy unless all other options are exhausted. As Dr. Arnold stewed on that quote, he wondered if all of his options truly had been exhausted. Was the Foundation really going to destroy him along with SCP-096, a being that had already caused untold death even before the accident that he had had a hand in causing? Was it fair to hold him responsible for the actions of a creature that, in a just world, would have been permanently dealt with a long time ago? However, outside of these thoughts, all Dr. Arnold could do was try to reassure the other researchers involved in the leak incident and wait for the shuttle to arrive at its destination, the Gaia BH1 black hole, the nearest black hole to the planet Earth. "Don't worry, this is all a ploy just to scare us," Dr. Arnold told the interns. "Throwing us out there would be murder." The SCP Foundation had to bring some previously classified technology out of storage in order to power a ship fast enough to cross the 1,500 light-years between Earth and Gaia BH1 within the time frame of a month. And Dr. Arnold found this overcommitment to the plot to destroy the Shy Guy to be shocking, as well as a sure sign that his superiors weren't joking around. Because of the overwhelming oppressive gravity of the black hole, there would have to be a significant distance between the Foundation space shuttle and the event horizon itself, or else the risk of all the staff being sucked in along with the leakers and SCP-096 would become too great. Instead, a portable version of SCP-096's containment chamber would be launched on a smaller rocket that would be guided via a pre-programmed route into the center of Gaia BH1. Dr. Arnold and the other leakers would be loaded onto the same rocket, which would boast no way for the unfortunate researchers to steer or redirect its course away from certain doom. Upon receiving confirmation that the ship was in range, the Mobile Task Force agents escorted the leakers on board the rocket with weapons pointed at them. They loaded the containment unit into the rocket next, taking care not to leave any chance of damaging the walls. Soon, everything was prepared for launch of the miniature rocket. Dr. Arnold, SCP-096, and the rest of the terminated staff would be launched away, never to return. But while this process was taking place, a deeply ill-timed event was occurring all the way back on Earth. A popular gaming streamer and content creator by the name of Bridget Parks was in the midst of her latest reaction stream when a member of the chat sent a link to a horror video for Parks to react to. The message was given priority because it had been sent as a super chat, a $100 super chat at that. What neither the SCP Foundation nor Bridget Parks knew was that the linked video was actually an archived copy of the viral video that caused SCP-096 to wreak total havoc on the world. It appeared that in the shuffle of administering amnestics and using Foundation resources to scrub the internet clean of all instances of Dr. Arnold's accidentally leaked viral video, at least one copy of the file was lost in the shuffle and re-uploaded to a file hosting site from a private external hard drive days after the most recently reported attack of the Shy Guy. Whatever reason this anonymous fan chose to send this particular video into the stream will most likely remain a mystery, but what is known is that Bridget Parks would have to react to it, or risk devaluing the pull behind the super chat. Bridget was already deeply sleep-deprived, as those who work in her industry often are, and had been reacting to a wide variety of frightening and creepy short films over the past 3 hours. She was willing to do anything to keep the subathon going, and with some mild trepidation, Bridget Parks clicked the link to the video. In the moments that followed, the face of SCP-096 was viewed live on the internet by the entirety of Bridget Parks' current streaming audience, and without delay, this information became known to the Shy Guy. As both the chat and Bridget herself gawked and laughed at the creature, reacting with disgust and disbelief at its appearance, SCP-096 began to stir within its containment unit. It slammed its fists against the wall with sudden ferocity, startling Dr. Arnold and the other passengers aboard the rocket. The mobile task force, still safe inside the main shuttle, made preparations for launching the rocket into the black hole. "Any passing words, Dr. Arnold? We'll be recording them," said one of the agents present, snickering as his hand hovered over the launch button. In a panic, Dr. Arnold blurted, "Containment breach!" Every agent aboard the shuttle felt their hearts drop into their stomachs, because this was the one thing that the Foundation didn't want to happen. Truthfully, having allowed Arnold and the others squirm all the way to Gaia BH1 black hole had been deemed sufficient punishment for his transgression, and the plan up until this point had been to wait until the most pivotal moment to reveal to Arnold that he and his cohorts would be allowed to live and return to Earth. The fact that they would all be demoted to D-Class personnel was beside the point, as mostly the Foundation didn't want to needlessly throw away lives that could be used to further scientific purposes. And yet, as Dr. Arnold screeched and carried on, the MTF agents made the swift and impulsive call to launch the rocket immediately. Regardless of the circumstances under which SCP-096's face had been viewed, there was zero chance that they would allow the thing to escape from its chamber before sending the rocket past the event horizon. Whatever the implications or ripple effects, the unplanned death of Dr. Arnold and the errant awareness of SCP-096 would have were questions for later. Now was the time for disposal. The mobile task force pressed the rocket launch button, sending the guided missile and its terrified occupants hurtling towards Gaia BH1. As the Shy Guy hammered away at the walls of its containment chamber, Dr. Arnold and the others faced away and prayed to whatever power would answer that the last moments of their fleeting lives wouldn't include being ripped apart by an enraged humanoid, while also being spaghettified by a black hole. Unfortunately, one of those two outcomes was inevitable. The rocket sailed right into the gravity well of Gaia BH1 and began to vanish from observable reality. Dr. Arnold and the others felt the indescribable sensation of being stretched into thin ribbons of matter by the force of gravity alone. SCP-096 began to undergo the same process inside the durable walls of its containment unit, though those same walls, as well as the entire rocket, were not durable enough to withstand being compressed. Back on Earth, the streaming audience of Bridget Parks was cracking a number of hurtful jokes at the expense of SCP-096, comparing it to popular creepypasta characters such as Slenderman. Bridget herself was facetiously calling members by their chat names and acting annoyed that such a video was even linked in the first place. None of them knew of the reckoning that might very well be coming for them, all from the depths of space. The members of the Foundation aboard the shuttle continued to observe Gaia BH1. Even as the rocket had vanished beyond the event horizon, hoping that despite the unforeseen loss of personnel, the nightmare of another disastrous SCP-096 containment breach was over. What happened next made the very concept of known physics seem like an irrelevant joke. From inside the black hole, the spaghettified form of SCP-096 began to hold itself in place. The rest of the rocket and all of the researchers on board were not nearly as lucky, but then again, the effects that Gaia BH-1 had on them was the expected result. What the Shy Guy was doing went beyond all estimation, exerting a force of propulsion that was keeping pace with the unbelievable pressure of gravity of a black hole. Despite this, the Shy Guy was still stretched beyond recognition, a pale white line that seemed to go on forever into the vortex of Gaia BH-1. Even in this abstract two-dimensional shape, the rage of SCP-096 at the ones who had seen its face was palpable. Its entire length began to shudder, pulsing with kinetic energy that had already surpassed almost anything in the known universe. To the outside observers who could only glimpse the impression left by the black hole, SCP-096 was already well and truly gone. But the longer the agents of the Mobile Task Force stared into the abyss, the more anxious they felt at the possibility of the Shy Guy somehow making it back from beyond the event horizon. And sure enough, like a nightmare that had spontaneously emerged into the daylight, the Foundation staff became able to see the tip of the spaghetti strand that was SCP-096. The Shy Guy had now partially stretched itself out of the grasp of the event horizon and back into observable reality. It was not yet in any recognizable shape, but the gradual appearance of a stretched-out version of its face did appear across the closer extreme of its distorted anatomy. It was almost like some kind of horrible worm with the face of a melting ghost, but how it looked was nothing compared to the implications of this form of SCP-096 being able to be seen again. Because if any piece of it had returned from the event horizon at all, and those observable pieces were starting to more closely resemble the Shy Guy's natural shape, this meant that the Shy Guy wasn't just pulling itself back with raw physical strength, it was increasing in velocity to such an extent that its body would soon be outrunning the force of gravity altogether. "Mother of God," said head field researcher Newman. "096 is already faster than light." The Foundation staff could do nothing but gaze in alarm as the Shy Guy's head returned to its normal shape. It was a comically surreal and horrible image, like a cartoon character from the rubber hose era of animation whose neck was stretching off screen. But any dark sense of humor derived from the appearance of the Shy Guy quickly vanished as the researchers realized all at once, "Oh crap, we just looked at it too." From the innermost depths of the void, a second strand of spaghetti matter separated from the main ribbon of SCP-096's form. Like string cheese, it rolled slowly to the surface of observed reality and formed an even more elongated limb of the Shy Guy. Like a colossal rope lasso, the arm dripped in and out of existence until a second super long arm joined it, and it became apparent what was happening. SCP-096 was thrashing against the gravitational pull of the black hole, swimming out of its seemingly inescapable current with two hideously distorted arms as paddles. It was as if someone had drawn SCP-096 with a pair of the same extending libs that Michael Jordan famously used to beat the Monstars in the basketball game in the classic animated live-action hybrid movie, Space Jam. The Shy Guy continued to swim forth, both arms windmilling at unfathomable speeds as it continued to break from the grasp of Gaia BH-1. Now only its legs remained trapped on the other side of the event horizon, but at this rate, they wouldn't be for long. Every researcher aboard the shuttle dreaded the possibility, no, the dreadful eventuality, that 096 would snap itself free from the black hole's orbit and be unleashed upon the universe once again. And without a doubt, everyone aboard the shuttle would be the first victims of the Shy Guy. Though the exact order in which SCP-096 kills those who observe its face has been the subject of continued debate, the fact that Earth was 1,500 light-years away meant that any other potential targets were that far away too. There was no escaping the onslaught of SCP-096, and no way to redirect its anger to a new target. "He's picking up so much speed," Mobile Task Force Agent Smith remarked. A horrible sound reverberated across space as SCP-096's legs zoomed to catch up with its body from the other side of the event horizon. In a truly unprecedented break from physics, the creature returned to its original shape, creating the mother of all sonic booms in the process. The sheer release of energy obliterated the shuttle, and any traces of space matter within the area around the black hole was also utterly obliterated. Like a murderous rubber band, SCP-096 blasted off from this point of elastic reunion, torpedoing across the vastness of the universe towards the Earth. The Shy Guy's target? None other than Bridget Parks and her entire active fanbase. But this one ill-timed stream would have greater consequences than just the permanent cancellation of one formerly beloved content creator. It would mean the destruction of all life on the planet Earth. For you see, SCP-096 didn't possess the ability to deaccelerate its mass before impact with the blue and green sphere. And now, its entire faster-than-light form had been launched at the Earth from the inside of Gaia BH-1's event horizon, like a projectile from a railgun. It was over. The laughter, the Foundation, and civilization itself, all swept away in an instant as SCP-096 collided with the Earth in a truly unforgettable hull-dome maneuver. The blue planet exploded like a watermelon struck with a sledgehammer, and SCP-096 was pulverized into broken or tangled limbs. From there it sailed through space, slowly regenerating from its wounds as it passed farther and farther from the planet that once housed so many doomed onlookers. It was unknown how long the Shy Guy would survive out there, or where it would wind up next, but it was more than certain that no human would ever see its face again. Now go check out SCP-049 Cures SCP-096 of the Pestilence, Top 16 Insane SCP Tales, and SCP-096 Look at a Picture of Shy Guy in Space, The Shy Guy Questions and Theories for more.